Welcome to Rom Wills, Money Matters. Keep an eye on the Great Resignation. Keep an eye on it. I mean, you know what this is, and I touched on it before. You know, all these people quitting jobs, just quitting jobs, and you know, it's a variety of reasons. For some people, they just don't like the conditions on the job. That's fair. That's fair. Other people just don't want to work. You know, with everything happening with the pandemic and people getting all these benefits and everything, and then, well, they haven't talked much about the moratorium on evictions, but there's so much out there. I'm going to tell you what, this great resignation, it could cause a real problem. Because I'm thinking about this, and I talked about this before. Every place I'm going, I'm seeing hiring or help wanted. In places I don't usually see it. I told y'all about, like at my favorite cleaners, the owner had a real sweet lady. Me and her real cool. I don't even have to bring my ticket if I don't want to with her. That's how cool we are. She said, "Oh, Rom, okay, let me get your stuff." Right? But she got a help wanted sign. And I'm just like, wow. And I'm going to tell you what, people just don't realize it. People quitting. And, you know, if they quitting and getting another job, that's something. But there's a lot of people, they just dropping out. And the thing is, the reality is these businesses can't really do anything about it. Because, see, here's the problem. If people aren't working on these jobs, things aren't getting done. Like, for example, I remember reading at FedEx, they were really concerned about, delivering stuff this coming Christmas. They were really concerned because they said, we need people. Like, it takes a while because when you don't have people, they're not there to process stuff. There's a lot going on, especially with the supply chain. That's a whole video in itself. And I'm not even big on the supply chain until I'm walking through stores and stuff. Like, I give you an example. My son, my youngest son, he has a specific like for Belgian waffles. I was about to say pancakes. Belgian waffles. I mean, he liked those square waffles. But I barely see them in the store. If I see one in the store, I grab it right away. I grab it. And the reason why is it's not enough there. Seriously, I'm seeing empty shelves. I'm seeing empty shelves, and it's just the supplies. That's all it is. It's the supplies. You know, it's like, wait a minute. Like, I'm seeing empty shelves with toilet tissue. And, you know, people ain't stacking up like they were during the major part of the pandemic, during the lockdowns and everything. It's just tough to make. And, in fact, I saw that with couches. You know, anybody watch my other videos know I had gotten a new couch. But I remember I went to, like, several stores to get that couch for one simple reason. I would talk to them and they would say, oh, okay, well, we might be able to get it to you in 6 months. And I'm like, 6 months? I'm like, what? And they said, you know, people at the places where they make the couches, they don't have as many workers. I mean, I was talking with a buddy of mine and everything. He lives in another state. He said he's having trouble getting a plumber to come out. I'm like, what? He said he's having trouble getting a plumber to come out. He needed some work done, and it's hard. It's like, wait a minute, plumbing? It was like it's work. I was shocked when he said plumbers. I'm thinking, hey, that's recession-proof. Yeah, it is, but you still got to get people to work. And he is interesting. He said, if you can find somebody in their 50s or something, oh, yeah, there's no problem, but it's hard to get a younger person to come out. See, a lot of people don't want to work. See, this thing is this. See, here's the issue. If people aren't working, they're not spending as much money. If they're not spending as much money, that affects a business. Like, say, let me use the example. Say you had a retail store, you know, a little small retail store. They might have 10 employees, right? Now, people ain't spending as much. A lot of people resigning their jobs and everything. They don't have as much money to spend. Now, say you have some of those people who would normally spend money in that store, but because, you know, they resign, they are living off unemployment, don't have as much money, they got to save it for the more important stuff, you know. They don't have that discretionary income where they can say, hey, let me get this shirt, let me get these shoes and everything. All right, all of a sudden, that store, and they could have all the employees, nobody's quitting, but because they're not making as much money, they got to cut hours. They may have to cut people. They might have to lay off some people. All of a sudden, they had 10 employees, they down to 6. And you see how that affects it. And then, then those 4 who are laid off, they can't spend as much money. Y'all see how this works? See, the thing is, if people resign in all these jobs, that just doesn't happen in a vacuum because then they don't have money to spend on certain things. They might not be able to go to the restaurants, not just that clothing store, but say that clothing store is in a mall, but that mall has several restaurants. You got a bunch of people in that area who resign their jobs. They're not going to those restaurants either. All of a sudden, the restaurants, they got to lay off the people. Indeed, what's been happening, a lot of people are resigning from those places. So you're going in restaurants now and they got slower service. You get slower service. All of a sudden, people say, you know what, I'll just cook at home. So they don't want to go out as much. And then that restaurant's being hit even further. I mean, I'm hearing about stores closing. They just not getting the people if people ain't spending the money. So I'm going to tell you what, though. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on everything. Not just people saying they're resigning, but pay attention. Like I said, just in my area, and I live in a 6-figure zip code. And if I'm noticing help wanted signs here, and there's a lot of young people, help wanted signs here in stores that are empty, like my local mall where I have a lot of friends who work. It was like half the mall is empty. Half the mall. And I've talked with some of my friends who work there, and they say, yeah, we don't, like there's a department store there where I have several friends. And they said, you know what, it's empty. It's not busy at all during the day or even at night like it used to be. All of that's important. All of that is important. You got to pay attention. Nothing's in a vacuum. So keep an eye on it. And right now I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well business-wise, but I'm paying attention to it because my thing is what happens when it gets big enough where it starts affecting my money. Seriously, don't think you're immune from any of it because everything, we're in a bubble. It's a big old bubble. Nobody's outside of that bubble. Even if you you could be making a whole lot of money and you good to go, but you just never know. Like on YouTube, you got some people, they're making big money off of AdSense, big money ads, super chats, and all of that. But what happens if those people don't have money for those super chats or donations? Or, in this industry, you got a lot of people, quote unquote, dating coaches. All of a sudden, people can't spend money on their products or to get consultations. I'm serious. Pay attention to it. Or even the ads. What if some of these businesses that are advertising like crazy, all of a sudden people not buying their products, and they might have to say, okay, I got to cut back on ads. Seriously, it touches everyone. So keep an eye on the Great Resignation. Keep a strong eye on it. Personally, and I've talked about this before, it needs to be a new attitude. I was going to mention like the new industries, but even then, it just hit me. It's like, well, they still need people who want to work in it. So, but keep an eye on it. It's very important because don't think, no matter how successful you are now, don't think something can't affect you in the long run. All right? Because I'm paying attention every single day. I focus more on my savings. I focus a lot on my savings. And I think I said before, I could probably go a year with zero money coming in. So every month when I'm getting more money, I'm adding to the savings goal. So get it to a year and a month and everything, because that's just me. Don't get fat and happy over it, and I mean that in a figurative sense. All right. So anyway, that's all I got for today. And despite everything I'm saying, well, I want y'all, especially what I'm about to say, for especially my hustlers, my entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, everything. My people moving up in a solid job. Let's go make that money.